Whoopsie. Coming in clutch every day, my dude. Hi. Hello. I hope you're doing good. Hi. You can tell that I started and I wasn't ready. But greetings! It is I, your Lord and Savior, Pythar, here to save your soul and bring you to a better yesterday. Oh man, awake during the day. Fuck. I'm sorry it's going so badly for you. I'm the only drugs that you need. Right? Right? That's what I thought. Move your body. Yay! Yippee! Not bad. We're gonna play video games. Hang on. Am I loud? I'm loud. I'm gonna turn my heater off. I know it's super sunny outside, but it means I don't have leggings on. And then that means that my leggies are cold. But I'll cope so you have better audio, so you better appreciate it. I might move the mic closer to my face. I don't know, updates at the beginning of stream. I don't know if anyone's seen, but I've been posting short form content such as TikToks and YouTube shorts. So if you haven't seen those, you gosh darn can. I don't know. Do I have so this? Yeah, look, there's my TikTok. Look at them there. They've actually been doing okay on YouTube, but the most recent one has tanked, which is a regret of mine because the most recent one is me eating flamin' hot ice cream cookie dough. And it was gross, and it has caused a deep disturbance within me. So I mean, feel free to watch it to make me feel better about having eaten it, because my tummy hurts. my ghostly insides, they're in pain. So I might not stream for ages because I feel really crap. So we love regrets. Regrets are one of my favourite things to have. No, they're one of my favourite things to create. And then I regret having them. I should turn this music off because it's not muted in the VOD. Whoopsie! We'll fade it out. Fade. Look at me fade. Wow! Might fuck up my VOD. Don't worry about it. It's just classic Pythar scuff. Every time there's scuff now, you've just got to be like, classic Pythar. That's the content I'm here for. I'm loading the game, so there's still noise. Yeah, but a flaming hot cookie dough ice cream, bad. Don't recommend. I'm gonna take it to work tomorrow and see if anyone else will eat it, because I bought like a whole box. They're like little mochi balls, but they're not mochi because the mochi is actually cookie dough. And I don't want to eat the rest of them. I thought they'd be really yummy and nice, and it would be exciting, but they were gross. I didn't realize they had like extra flamin' hot. I thought they were just like Cheeto flavored ice cream, and I was like, haha, Cheeto flavored ice cream. But then it arrived, and it was actually bird's eye chili and ghost pepper ice cream, and I was like, no. Oh yeah, I can show you. Sweet little bumblebee, boopy 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 bee. It's on YouTube as well. Hang on. I'm so good at streaming. I have a noise gate. Why? What's happened? Did it balk? Shorts. YouTube. Do I? Well, I don't fucking know. I don't remember. Do I have one on? I change my audio settings all the time because I'm like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. It's not currently on OBS, but I use voice mod, so voice mod might automatically put one on. Woo! So, okay, my last short on YouTube got 2,000 views. After like, I don't know, 10 hours. In the first like 1 hour, it got like 1,000 views. This spicy ghost pepper video has had 1 view in the first hour. I might take it down because it's going to tank the rest of my numbers. But there it is if you want to watch it. I'm glad I spent my time and energy on it. Sweet little bumblebee, boppy boopy boppy bee, boopy doopy doo ba ba. But yeah, if there's anything wrong with the audio, always let me know because I can try and fix it. Because it's really hard for me to tell while I'm live if there's any audio problems. All I can really see is that I'm loud enough. And that's what I can really tell. What happens if we go over here? I feel like I've fucked up all my scenes. Oh, yeah. If we go over here, we can see the to-do list. I can get rid of that. And a camera. Goob. Goob. A desk tour. Wow. Impromptu. Me. Miku. There's a fork. A pig. Me and Miku. Wow. Ignore my Miku shrine. Ignore my Miku shrine. Dilbert. There he is. Oh. Happy guy. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. It's raining money. Goob. Anything else on my desk you want to see before I turn the camera off? Sweet little bumblebee. That song's gonna be stuck in my head all day now. They print the king now. They do, but I think this all has the queen on it. Queen. there's probably nothing else on my desk that you want to see. There's Ame. How do I turn this off? Why is this here? Scuff, scuffy, scuffy, scuff. There we go. But yeah, I don't know if I've seen any king money. I barely ever have cash, to be honest. I just need it to pay a contractor. As is the classic, why do you have cash? Because I need to pay a contractor. I might put myself over there, actually. Because then, all the shorts, you can see... I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know where I was going with that. Star... I'm very good at streaming. This is me being good at it. But my excuse is that my body has been disturbed by spicy ice cream. Sleepy starting to hit. Oh, is it nap time? I love nap time. I had nap time before I started. Nap time is an important part of my life. Hello. Sorry, I'm speaking to my controller. I'm entirely prepared for the stream. Well, I started getting ready at like 6:10. So I was like, I might even go live early, but then I fucked around trying to make this shitty thumbnail. That was a lot of swear words. I'm trying to swear less on stream. I messed around with this silly thumbnail that's not even good for like the whole hour. Deaths were on, well, the thumbnail says 96, but I just put that because I liked that it was the opposite of 69. I'm actually on 97. 97's not as a good number. So. Sorry, I lied in the thumbnail. I need to put BGM while I play this game. I don't normally, but it's like, it's quiet. Is it normally this quiet? It's like not making noise. Maybe the loading screen just doesn't make noise. Oh, I think we're good now, right? Why? It's so quiet. No, do not exit OBS. I accidentally pressed exit. It's fine. I said no. Oh, the category is correct. I just accidentally went live in the wrong category because again, I'm just killing it today. Oh. I see what the problem is here. Okay, that's better. Right, what are we doing? A raid! Also, this game is zoomed in. Yay! Yippee! Thank you for the raid. Hi! Hi! It's bringing the Poke Tea Parlor to me. I love that emote. How cute is that? LGBT. Is that like a Twitch global one? I don't have it, but I love it. I hope I'm good. So we were just talking about how I ate flaming hot ice cream and it has really disturbed the force within me. my insides are sad, but I'm okay otherwise. I hope you're doing good and you had fun in your stream. Let me give you a shoot toot. Shoot toot. You're playing Pokemon, of course. Of course you are. I hope you're doing a challenge, right? I hope the challenge is going well. I've been lurking on the streams. Dirty lurking. Dirty. Oh, I should introduce myself, right? That's the thing people do when the streams start. I know what I'm doing. I'm very professional. I'm in my own lane. Is that my introduction? I guess so. I'm Lord Pythar. Great at streaming. Suck my ball. Okay. That was fucking weird, wasn't it? Why am I invited to the internet? Who invited this idiot? Ah, what's going on? Oh no, they're murdering me! I've forgotten all the buttons, I've forgotten all the buttons, I've forgotten all the buttons. I've forgotten all the buttons. Stop walking away from me, you tit. Shut up. But if you need to go and lurk, then please do, or don't. I'm so good at streaming. Stop murdering me. I don't like to be murdered. That's the wrong button. Okay, we'll suck less then. No.
I'm watching you.
I'm gonna need you to do a pull-up. Right now.
Intruder! You made a big mistake. Feeling hurt?
Okay, I'm gonna hit you now. This is not a good start. Okay, thank you. I'm confused as to where we've got to. I feel this is not where I remember that we were. But we'll work it out. It's gonna be okay. I thought we needed to go through that tunnel. This is what happens when you don't play the game for ages. You don't know what's fucking going on. Dusty buffs. Alright, so we're trying to go over here. There's a big void between there and there. Where am I? Here. Doesn't tell me much, does it? Yes, let's go this way. No, wrong button. But yeah, today the plan is to stream until I lose the will. Because I have a lot of stuff to do. I swear I've already done this bit. Maybe I died. I mean, I definitely died. We know I died 70, 96, 97 times. Whee! Oh, hi! Oh, he's got a rocket launcher. Rocket launcher, please don't kill me. I literally just hit him in the head, like, reloading his rocket launcher. Not so rocket launcher now, are we? I don't know what this energy is. I'm sorry. I apologize. What button is it? Oh yeah, I remember being in here, and there was a thing. I was in here and there was a thing. That song is going to be stuck in my head. This whole
In accordance with the Emperor's will, we've occupied Zepho, redistributing its inhabitants. This planet has failed to yield significant data or relics for Project Augur. Its electromagnetic winds have rendered the bulk of our mining technology useless. Meanwhile, more stormtroopers lose their lives to dangerous fauna. We will not be able to fulfill our directive here. It is my recommendation that we disband the project and leave a token outpost to keep scavengers from stealing our technology.
Okay. Normal shit. I realize I haven't done my classic describe what is going on in the game.
Did you see that?
Is that an intruder?
Fuck off.
I'm not doing all the work!
I died. Oh man. Great. Love that. Ah, and here starts the deaths. To be fair, I forgot the buttons at the beginning, which made my health really. No, that's the wrong thing. Death. Which sort of screwed me there. So maybe that one shouldn't count, but you know, maybe it's also my fault for getting what the buttons are. Did the death counter come up? Oh, if I sit over here, you can't see my sweet death face. My death ghost. Necro 69. We're away. Way past 69, unfortunately.
Jedi!
Okay, I need to get a different song in my head because this is gonna get annoying. Yeah, please die. Thank you. Thank you. Neck. Thank you. Neck. Thank you. Neck. So in. Ah! Let's not fuck this up quite as hard as last time.
I'll break your guard.
Why? I just fucked up in exactly the same way! Ready, go?
I'm
Oh,
watching you.
you stop. Die. Have you considered? Climb. And then we went this way. I thought I was stuck on a different bit, but I guess I'm not. Because, I mean, I'm not at that trip. But let's find out. Dude. Okay. I love the angry horns. Bah! Thought you were going to grab that then, and I was going to cry. Yippee! Ooh. Is my model coping okay? I've got the graphics on my... Yeah. Sometimes when I play this, it's not very well. Don't run away! Cheeky bastard! Ow. You dead? Yeah, you're dead. Fine. Do I have to watch this again? No.
It's so... Enemy!
Hi!
Enemy here! He's too quick! I can't do this by myself!
Okay, do it. Do it by yourself.
Stay down!
I feel like there's a parry button. I can not remember what it is. I'll just press all the buttons and eventually it'll work. Oh, RS.
Come back here.
Oh yeah, so I haven't explained what's going on. So this is Ginge. That's the robot. Ginge and the robot are traveling through space to try and restore the Jedi Order, because it turns out he was secretly a Jedi, but then his best friend got killed by the Inquisition. The Inquisition is searching for Jedi and killing them all because the Jedi aren't allowed to exist because the Empire's taken over the universe. Now we're on this planet. Oh yeah, we went to a bog, and in the bog there was a hologram that was like, I will give you the name of 100 children who could save the world if you go do some series of tasks to prove yourself to me, the hologram man who is dead. So we're doing his tasks, and the first one is to go to this planet and find some tombs. So we're doing it. That's the quickest I've ever explained that game. Ah! Fuck, Ginge. Oh, I thought we were on 96. Now we're on 69. Hang on. When I checked earlier, I was on 90 something. I'm definitely on 90 something, I swear. Are you counting the wrong deaths? Gonna be mad. Gonna be mad if you counted the wrong deaths. The game. Is Star Wars. Update the death count. Well, I don't fucking know. But I'm on 69! Yippee! Sexiest deaths count. I only died this many times so we could get to 69 as quickly as possible. Nice. So obviously I won't be dying more. This is the end of dying, okay? Why don't I know what the button is? RIP 69. Sorry, this is going to include a lot of yelling because I suck. Yeah, I fucking hope so. And then on the screen it says 50. What? Why is everything broken? And he's not being broken. There we go. I need to make a... What? So, when I streamed before my hiatus and then debut, I had like a to-do list to get ready before stream so that the stream was ready when I started. And I don't do that anymore because I'm lazy. But that's obviously a stupid idea. It means my stream is very prepared. Oh, dude. Okay. 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 No. That is enough. What is the button? Is it... No. Hang on, we're gonna have to look up the button. Because I can't just keep doing this, can I? Pull. Heal. Jump. Push. Slow. None of these sound like climb. What? What? Maybe it's pull? Which Which one is it? What? Fuck's sake. No, okay, that just opens the lightsaber. I'm gonna have to keep alt-tabbing! Okay, so we've tried this button. Let's try this button. Okay, well, that was the correct button. But you still somehow suck! At least we know what the correct button is. Ah! At what point do I quit? I just end the stream. I'm like, I played for 5 minutes. Fucking done. Jesus Christ. Use your force. Need a raid. This would be a terrible time for a raid. At least it didn't make me do the jump again. What do we do? We'll slow this one and that one. Okay. Did it. Okay. What's this? Secret box? I want the secret box. Oh, do I have to like walk in there? Okay, do that. See, look, I told you I could do it. Secret box! Woohoo!
Okay. Something we can use?
Slow it down. Not the not the thrust. Not the thrust. I mean, I'd love to show you what happens when I get absolutely destroyed by one of these thrusting machines. But I don't want to. But it might happen by accident. Never know. Okay, this is the bit where I remember being stuck, so I must have just gotten a bit behind. I don't quite understand what the fuck I'm meant to do. Like, run wall? But maybe last time I was just really tired. Now I'm not. Ah, no. Ah. You might see me. Yeah. Okay. That's what happens when I get crushed by the machine. No! Oh, I swear last time it wasn't making me respawn every time I got crushed. No. Where's it going to put me? How far back is it going to put me? I just... Please. Please. Swear if there's an explosion after this. No! It's put me all the way back here! I'll break down!
Oh, it's you.
It is.
You can't block forever.
It's not. Wrong button.
I see you.
Come on. What was that? Wait. I don't even have time to count the death. I'm pressing the button. Oh my god. Okay. I might lose the will to live very early.
Talk all you want. I only need a few hits.
What? What? Why is he now just allergic to jump? Why can't he just jump onto the pole? What? Oh my god.
You won't get me. Your guard is pretty solid.
Got so much health from the respawning and he shooting right away. I'm a bitch. Can I go in there? Yeah, you honks. It's trying to make me sneeze. Well, I don't know if you were here last time. I can't remember if it's last time or the time before I streamed. We fixed this face because the face it pulled originally when I died was deeply sus.
What are you doing down there?
Fuck off. Hey, he's gonna blow me up in a second. Now I'm focused on you. Is that what you want? My bottom half was removed! It was removed! It was gone! Did you see that? Oh my god! It was obliterated. There's your explosion, by the way. It removed my penis, so I don't know how sexy that is. I need to make a redeem where you can still see the sus
You're
face.
ready. Stop blocking and fight.
Yeah, coming up. Just, you have a gun and I don't, so there is it. Yeah.
Found you, intruder. Your guard is pretty solid.
Yeah. Okay, I thought you were gonna fall off then. I was gonna. Yeah.
Guard is pretty solid.
I like being a cat. I need to get a tail. I literally hit you 3 times. I don't want to take that. I can't believe there's no safe point between here and the death thrust machine. Right, which button is it? Whee! Surfing USA. Fuck off! So I haven't worked out what the parry button is. I presumably don't need to watch this again.
Watch out for the Philac. They're dangerous and territorial.
I'll just shoot it and it won't reach me.
I could stop it, but you might... Maybe we should go take a look.
Shut the fuck up!
All right, again. Get him already. Look, I need that.
I feel like I have special attacks as well. I've forgotten what those are. We can do this. I remember what the button is. It's going to cry! Okay, we're back. We're back at the death thrust machines. It's gonna be okay. There. What the fuck am I gonna do with this one? How cute the ears are. Oh, they flop. Floppy flop. The computer's dealing very well with the thrust machine. He's just stopped. This is all of thrust machine. No, dude, no! It's fine. He started responding again when he stood in front of the thrust machine. I was pressing the button, I swear. Maybe we end stream when I get to 100. Might be too soon. Fucking button! Woohoo!
Cal, the Empire's pinpointed your location. You need
okay.
to move fast.
On it. Thanks.
Save point! It's a save point! Hallelujah! I have 0 skill points available because I suck. Yes! Oh yeah, also I made it so I can wink now. Because I had a setting on that meant that I couldn't close one eye at once. I could only close both eyes at once. But it means when I look this way, it looks like I'm closing my eye and that I have a toothache. I don't know what to do about that. It just, if I look this way, I presume it's the same. I look like I have a toothache and one of my eyes. But I can wink! God, it's my enemy, the swingy rope. What even the fuck was that, mate? We have to run. How am I gonna do this? I don't understand. I think running made a difference. Alright.
Going to beat you, Jedi. Break's over. He's dead. Fight him! Come on, cowards! Smash him!
He's
Getting
done.
weak!
Oh god. So, gang up on me!
Don't get up!
Just part of our duties for the day.
It's gonna make me jump over the gap again as well, isn't it? It is. It's gonna make me jump over the gap again. Is this good content? Just watching me die. Over and over.
Don't let him get you.
Enemy! Enemy here! I've got him!
Loud and clear.
Shoot him!
Try dodging that. This one's quick.
You! In him!
Ah! 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 Ah!
Actually, God, watch your back!
Thank you. Destroyed the
That's
life.
you and me, scum.
Ah! Why is there more of you?
I can't do this by myself.
Can you?
Wait, what?
Dying all the time is perfect content. Great. I'm so good at
What was in
content.
there?
Yippee! No! I don't have time to count death. Two. Just gotta remember because it's gonna bonk you right back. 3. Oh. Oh. Okay. Hang on. I'll just manually update it to 4. I don't want to do the command 4 times. You're worried you're gonna run out of fingers and toes. I was worried I was gonna forget how to count.
I found something.
What do they know?
No mention of Cordova. I don't think the Empire knows he's been here.
Then we have the advantage. For now.
I pressed the wrong button. Oh my god. Okay. Deep breath. Told you it was gonna be fine. Oh, hello. 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 Die. No way, that's where I came from, isn't it? Follow the pile of dead. Right. I forgot what they were. Examine. Oh yeah, I can examine things.
That's interesting. We're on the right track.
Are we? Okay. You're not going to elaborate on that? No. It's chill. Don't worry about it. Alright. This looks like a sort of Jedi symbol. I see. He just has better eyes than I do. I don't know how it's so well lit. Where's the light coming from? Lunch. Can I climb up there? Let's go. Not feeling great about being at half health in the scary cave. Right. Can we not fuck this up, please? That would be just great. Nearly fucked it up. Not quite. Scan. I can scan. Beep boop 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 beep.
Can't get through.
What is it? Hit it. Yeah, fuck it. The other day I was in the supermarket. I went into the toy aisle because I always look in the toy aisle because I need to see the coolest new things that I could own as an adult. And they had lightsabers, but the like shaft of the lightsaber was in the shape of Star Wars characters, and I was like, is that the dumbest idea that I have ever seen? Unsure. It's already Star Wars themed. You don't need the shaft to be fucking... What were the options? Like stormtrooper shaped.
There's a storm up ahead. Something about it crippled the Empire's equipment. I can feel something pulling me there, beyond the storm.
Follow it. Let the Force sharpen your instincts.
Okie dokie.
Do my best.
Oh, there's a thing over there. Hi! You're probably gonna try and kill me later. Still don't have any skill points because I fucking suck. I don't know if my face is in a good zone. That's not better. I think that's probably better. Oh yeah, but then you can't see the ghost. I remember. Oh! Oh! Sorry, I accidentally hit the void there. Maybe I'm better off over here. Then you can see the ghost. Maybe I should have looked at the skill tree to see what special abilities I'd unlocked, because I don't remember. I think I used one of them earlier. Okay, I feel like this is a trap. No, it's fine. It's fine. that? Technic damage.
Huh. Another one of these. Wonder if they connect.
That would be cool. Okay. That was not cool, but that's fine. Can't be cool all the time. Can't climb up there, that's fine. Let's just keep going. Dude. Anything in the tall grass? An evil creature. Sorry. You might have been friendly, but I just seemed like super unlikely. Oh, I forgot I can use my slow power on the animal. Am I already locked? How is that possible? Oh, that guy can be killed. He's there. Oh, God. Is that where I came from? I'm so confused. Can you tell that I... Doing? You jump so good. Jump less good. Well, I don't know what the fuck that was. The game is a bit framey. Maybe I need to turn. I thought I already put the settings all the way down to the best. The worst settings. Thank you for counting the death, I forgot. I forgot that's basically why we're here. Maybe that'll help. Oh, why have you got it on Epic? Don't have it on Epic. Medium. We can probably spend some of this back on. No. Ooh, it looks a lot worse. It's a lot less sexy in here. Hey. I assume that's what I'm gonna do. I have no idea. How did his butt hurt me? Oh! His final death scream was terrifying, though. Oh my god, that song's stuck in my head! Maybe I'm gonna go over here. Who knows? Not me. I hit you a lot of times now, okay? What? How should you unslow down so fast? Nice, the other one has not decided to try and attack me yet. Oh, fuck! Ow. Hit it in the butt. Hit it in the butt. Oh my god, they go fast against me. I know I'm dying. I
Don't fall
know.
behind, BD1.
Oh, where did he? Where did he go? Gilly pod. Wow. Okay. You're gonna tell me about it. That's fine. Need to know. Oh, we didn't count that last death, did we? Fuck. Guess we're going into the cave. Oh, yeah, it's in here. Isn't there a thing? Isn't there a way for me to like shuffle? I don't know.
Holding up okay? Good to hear.
Aw.
A little help?
I did not know he could do that. I probably should have been using that function. Okey-dokey. No, he just automatically does it. He didn't want to. Alright, cool.
Never seen a storm do
Alrighty.
that before. Yeah, it's incredible.
Ow! Ow! That. Lamb. No. Oh. Hi. What are you looking at, dude? Ah!
My friend,
Oh.
I believe this to be the earliest Zepho site we've uncovered yet, despite my reservations. I cannot chase the Bogano vault from my mind. Its visions shape the direction of an entire culture. I must understand why.
Okay. I wasn't really listening, but it doesn't seem like it. Four? Looks like it goes down here.
I'm in the tomb. It's massive.
And the Empire?
Oh,
No sign of them down here.
What about Cordova?
Still not sure what I'm supposed to find. He's a little...
Eccentric? Tell me about it. But he wouldn't send us here for his amusement. Keep an open mind.
oh. The crew traveled to the Zephyr homeworld searching for the tombs of Cordova mentioned. They learned the Empire occupied Zephyr in order to mine ancient artifacts. The directive, co-named Project Augur, was terminated after Zephyr's magnetic winds proved too difficult to deal with. Now Cal and BD find themselves inside an ancient Zephyr tomb. Looking for the messages or called over. I thought you were going to give me more information than that. I knew all those things. Okay, well, you got to promise not to bowl me over, big ball. I feel like I'm meant to use the force to get the ball to move, but I only know how to slow things down. That is the only power I have. That doesn't seem to be that helpful. Oh, I could go this way.
Did you see that? Ugh.
Oh, hello. Ow! A skungus, not a skungus. Avoid contact. Okay, my first instinct was to hit it, which is apparently the exact opposite of what you're meant to do. Avoid contact around central pod. Explosive core may be utilized as a defense against other enemies. Skungus are parasitic plant-like organisms containing explosive toxic spores, which may detonate when threat approaches. The smaller pods burrow underground in clusters to compromise a larger central hive. Known for their putrid smell and soft brain-like tissue, various forms of invasive species exist. Okay. Great. Oh, so if I
I need
press this
some
button...
med speed one.
Ah. Why did he respawn falling backwards? Go now. No, no, no. I died! Hooray! Oh god, where's it gonna respawn me? Surely at least to the big ball. It's not gonna respawn me before the big ball, is it? Let's find out. I need a snack. I'm hungry. Oh yeah, I was gonna eat food before stream. I entirely forgot. No, it took me before the all the way. Ah! Why? Before the big ball? This game is evil. I look so happy on the... I look so happy. I'm not happy. I'm sad. Okay. I should either end or go up the snack. I know we've not streamed. Maybe we should go to 100 deaths. But I can't go to 100 deaths without eating. He's up to it. I'll go on a break rather than end because I feel like we need to achieve more in this stream. Oh! Thank you for the resub! Hi! Hi! Yippee! Thank you! And congratulations on being the most devoted member of the day! Oh, I hope you're doing good. I was about to go on a break. I'm really sorry, but I won't be super long. But thank you so much for the resub for 21 months. That's so many months. I really appreciate it. That's nearly 2 years. You rock. And I really appreciate it. I am gonna go on a break because I need a snack. Let's get the game. And we'll put actual royalty-free music on. Because I forgot to at the beginning of the stream, which was bad. Oopsie. Why won't the game work? What? Please work. Please? Ugh! Why isn't it working? Why does the world hate me? It's not gonna work. If I do this. There we go. Alright. I will put on the game. If you would like to play, you can. Or if you'd like to go on your own brick, then also do that. Okay. I'll be back in a bit.
Potato chips, how my mouth does with potato chips. Oh, drip, 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 crunch, crunch. I don't want no lunch, all I want is potato chips. Potato chips, how my mouth does with potato chips. Oh, drip, 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 crunch, crunch. I don't want no lunch, all I want is potato chips. Crunchy, crunchy, potato chips. Crunch, crunchy, crunchy. A crunch, crunch, crunch. I don't want no lunch. All I want is potato chips. Potato chips. Oh, those potato chips. Potato, potato, a chip, chip. Oh, crunch, crunch. Don't want no lunch. All I want is potato chips. want is potato chips. Potato chips, chips, chips. Zip, zip, zip. All I want is potato chips. Potato chips, chips, chips. Zip, zip, zip. Potato chips, chips, chips. Zip, zip, zip. Potato chips, chips, chips. Potato chips, chips, chips. Potato chips, chips. Potato chips, chips. Potato chips, potato, potato, potato chips, chips.
Here we go, off the rails. You know it's time to raise ourselves. It's freedom like you never knew. 30 bags for a pass. Say the word, I'll be there in a flash. You could say my hat is off to you. Oh, we could zoom all the way to the moon from this great wide wacky world. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if the dark clouds start to swirl, don't fear, don't shed a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl. So let's all jump up super high, high up in the sky. There's no power up like dancing. You know that you're my superstar. No one else can take me this far. Flipping the switch, get ready for this song. Let's do the Odyssey. Odyssey, yes, see. 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 Odyssey, Odyssey. Spin the wheel, take a chance. Every journey starts a new romance. A new world's calling out to you. Take a turn off the path. Find a new addition to the cast. You know that any captain needs a crew. Take it in stride as you move side to side. They're just different points of view. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah. Come on now, jump up in the air. Jump without a care. Jump up 'cause you know that I'll be there. And if you find you're short on joy, don't fret, just don't forget that you're still our one-up boy. So go on, straighten out your cast. Let your toes begin to tap. This rhythm is a power true. Don't forget you're the superstar. No one else can make it this far. Gotta comb through that stash. Now you've got panache, so let's do the Odyssey. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if the dark clouds start to swirl,
Hi.
fear, don't shed a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl. Now listen, all you boys and girls.
I feel like this is copyright music.
Don't be afraid to get up.
You cuck me video?
You know that
That's just very similar to a copyrighted song.
we're
Yeah.
the ones who made it this far. Smile on that face. There's no time
Hi, it's me. I'm back. Yippee! Okay. On the break, I remembered how much crap I have to do. So, I reckon we will go to 90 deaths. Gartic is very rude to you. It really did not want to give you the points. I can't believe it. Back here. I think I'm just going to try and run past all of the angry creatures. So I really can't be fucked. Hopefully they don't follow me down here. Move? Hello? I move? Look at my face. Is the screen broken? Oh, no, stuff to do. Sorry, I said stuff. I'm doing a craft fair on the 25th. I don't normally do craft fairs, but I do this one every year because it's a pride event. Doing it, but I'm not very prepared because I'm not doing craft fairs really. I do this whole cutscene You're great at giving context. Yay! I'm great at remembering what I just said, so don't you worry about it. Yeah. I've got a lot to prepare for this craft fair. Thank you. Yeah, I hope I make money. I should at least, I don't think I'll lose money. But I'd like to make a reasonable amount. And I've just taken a new job at work. It's not started yet. But when it starts, I can't call it a promotion because I'm going to get paid less. Because the current job that I have, I work until 10:30 at night, which means I get paid like a late night premium. Whereas the new job I'm getting, I don't. The latest I'll work is 9. So I won't get the late night premium. So I'm actually getting paid less for this new job, but I think it will be interesting. Why was I saying that? So therefore I need more money because please don't explode. They're not actually that sensitive, it's just literally the first time I saw one and I hit it. So I assume this is where I died last time. It's all good. Oh, no, he's not dead. I hate when it does that life force recharge thing and then I've not actually killed anyone. Sarian scary sentient boobas that explode. Yeah, before you got here, the first time I saw those boobas, I just saw it and I was like, oh, that looks like an enemy. Panic, hit. I just hit it, and if you walk very close to them, and definitely if you hit them, they will explode, and it really hurts. So it was bad. What's this? Oh. Sucky hole. Yeah. My instinct was hit. it was the incorrect. Heck! Hi, Leopard! Thank you so much for the resub! For 50 months. Death! Okay, sorry. Good, we good? Yeah. Thank you! I really appreciate your support. I know I say it every week, but I really do. And I hope you are doing good. We are on death, I think 91. We're on 91. It's not been going well. What the fuck is that? Oh, it's terrifying. Yeah, it's been a bad time. Okay, so I want to interact with that thing, but how do I get over there? I'm so stupid. Too stupid for this game. It's okay. Honestly, I probably would have been shocked regardless of the distraction. Can I not get past these noodles? Cut the noodles? I can cut the noodles. Yeah, Leopard has his own special emote for being just so great. Climb? Climb? Climb. I like how the very strong wind doesn't seem to affect me very much. That's ideal. Cool. There's nothing else. Just have the fun. Oh. Nope. Oh yeah, it is also like the top bit emote, so you can only use it if you've cheered whatever crazy amount of bits that Leopard has cheered. I forgot about that. But that makes it extra special. Oh, now the ball's over there. Oh! I'm okay. A set of wind chimes left behind by the Zephyr who built the tomb. Yeah. I'm just choking on the food that I ate. Whenever I eat something that's got like oats in it and stuff. Whee! I feel like you get a little bit of oats. Just gross. So I presumably want it to go in the middle, right? Or there. So we've got wind. It is a bit Skyrim, isn't it? push the ball? I mean, obviously not, otherwise there wouldn't be this whole wind puzzle going. Oh, there's another wind hole here. So, then that. I thought it would go here and then get blown this way. So maybe I need it to go around here and then turn that way. So it doesn't get blown so far. Puzzles. Although I've not turned this one on yet, so maybe I should turn the other one and see what happens. But I doubt the answer is just to turn. That would be the answer. Oh! 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 Oh, it's going all over. Okay. Ow. So when it gets to that little slope over there, I think I'll press this. I can't look over there and... What? Why didn't that work? No! I can't turn them off at both at the same time. This one's... Oh, this one is... Let's try again. Why are you not getting blown up? Because surely I just need to get it in front of this one. Which is annoying because I can't look at it at the same time. Oh, it's gonna be fucking stuck now, isn't it? Shit! Ugh! This surely isn't the way to do it. I'm probably being stupid. I can't get the timing right because I can't look at it and press the button. at the same time. No! Too stupid. That was the wrong button. Can I grab this? Nope. But I think the answer is. I mean, it looks very grabbable. Okay, so that wind. It's coming from over there. Back over there. Sorry, bots. No, I don't want a hint. Leave me alone. No, fuck off. Now it's just this wind. Where did I turn that one? Was that just wind? Yes, I can't see that. Mystery wind. Maybe I should use the hint, but I don't want a hint. I want to be smart. I want to get out myself. But I'm so stupid. Sorry if you can hear my heater, but I am really cold, so I'm putting my heat. Thank you for head pad. I don't know. I don't get why this wind isn't strong enough to just push it that way. And when I turn that one on, it makes a sound. And that's gotta be important. Okay. Where? Huh? Good job this ball can't run you over. I'm the best gosh darn Jedi in the galaxy! Ah! I don't know why I'm trying this again. Like, I've already tried this again. Hello? Ball. Hole. Get out, hole. I need to go in there. No, I mean, this is clearly not how you do it. Where's this wind coming from? That's what I want to know. Maybe these ones just don't matter. I'm confused as to what this one over here opens, or where the wind goes. Okay, it comes out of this hole. Does it? Yeah, well, it certainly goes this way, doesn't it? What's this way? Can I look through the hole? Like... Okay. I can see the ball. I can't remember where the ball was. I think there's another one on the other side, and I can't find it. Yeah, look, and I'm obviously meant to be able to get over to that side. I just don't, it won't let me grab onto this thing. Ah! Did I really not jump onto this thing? It even has the texture. It has the climb texture. Oh, you just can't climb onto that edge. Christ. Fuck's sake. Okay. Woohoo! Or if my light's just readjusted because it thinks it's getting dark. Who knows? Oh, the stupid evil animals will come back. I don't know why I did that. Well, I've done it now. Door I can't interact with. Oh, this is where I came from. I see, I see. Okay. There's all that shit over there that I feel like I should be interacting with. How do I get to that shit? Ah! Hey! Woohoo! Now things are happening. Oh, what's going on in that first chamber? Let's just not worry about it. Oh my god! Dude. This is slippery. I don't know if I want to go that way. I guess we've got to go this way. Well, we've had another death. That's spiced things up a bit. We had a bit of a death drought there. Oh, I forgot that the death counter will cover my face if I sit here. Oh well, who needs face? Okay. Oh, not gonna do that. acknowledge that there's lots of wind chimes everywhere. Puzzles make me sleepy. Yeah. Oh, why did my robot blink loop? Why did you blink loop? Oh no, it's not you. There's a thing up there that's trying to. Can I get back up? What? You tell me you can't climb up there? Even I could climb up that. Am I just gonna have to jump? It's not gonna happen, is it? There's no button to turn off this wind! Tired. A lot of pots and I keep kicking all of them over, which is probably a bit rude of me. I really... Oh, he can climb up. He just didn't feel like it before. Oh, it's gonna explode! Is everyone dead? Guess we'll go this way. I've really developed a developed a gamer stance, which is bad. Gamer stance is just bad posture. Fucking wind. Oh!
I'm pretty hurt.
Glad all these boobs are here. I'm gonna get past the angry boo. No, ow.
Can I get some aid? Ugh. Guess a lightsaber can't solve everything.
You have to blow on the... Oh. What? Oh, they hide when the wind's out and they come back when the wind's off. I see, I see. It'll still be there. Oh, I'm just gonna wait. I didn't even need to be over here anyway. I know where to go. Okay. Well. Going back. Nothing I can do it. Maybe because it's so windy I can jump that far. Oh, I bet that's what it is. I'm so lost. Hello? Who's that?
Seen that before?
Oh, it's angry! Oh, it's angry! Oh, it's angry. It's angry but slow. Return to my gamer stance. Can I kill it? Oh, it's violent. Makes the game creamy. Ow. Okay. Cool. I'm glad all my progress has just been deleted. I love that. Why is there an angry murder thing in here? Ugh. I'm too busy trying to solve a puzzle to be murdered. Ugh. God. Where are we? What is going on here? Oh, that. Okay. To be honest, I might just end because I'm tired. And I don't know what's going on. So next time we will complete the puzzle when I have more thought process power. More ability to think. Okay. I was like, oh, let's put on the BGM. There was nothing there. Nothing there. Right, let's raid someone. I wonder if I can raid Vedal. Just for context, Vedal has 8,000 views. So I should not raid. Oh, I was thinking about raiding Fairy Sammy, but she's reacting to, she's like watching a film, so that's not a great thing to raid into. I wish I could nap right now. Raid no. Okay. This is the raid. If you would like to come on the raid, please do. can copy the thingy. Thank you so much to Golden Wing and Leopard for the resubs, and to Golden Wing for being the most devoted member of the day. And thank you, Hero, for the raid as well. And, you know, Jehovah for hanging out as well. Oh, Minty just went live. I like raiding. Oh. Oh, it won't let me raid now. Haha. Where? There she is. Oh, and she's arting. That's... I like art. Oh, whoa. Let's try again. I've never tried to raid someone before and it's been like, no, you're not allowed. This person does not want you raid. But that's okay. I get it. I will hydrate. Thank you very much. Sippy sippies. You should sippies too. Make sure everyone's yeah, and if you'd like to raid, you can. And if you don't already follow me on the things, I need to update my command to have all my links in it, because I'm getting a lot of followers on the YouTube. I got 28 YouTube followers this week, which is super cool. Yippee! So if you don't follow me on YouTube, you can, but I don't have that much, so rip. And yeah, thank you for coming. Bye. Bye bye. Oh, I don't know why the music ended. But... Who needs music? Just silently wait for the